Neighborhood. This is the place where you're entitled to Brad's opinion. And now for your host, Brad Allard.
Well, hello everybody. A lovely day this Tuesday. Good weather. Looks like fall. I got Matt Cobb here of Cobb Plumbing. If y'all been in Burleson any length of time at all, you've heard of Cobb Plumbing. They've been here since 1970. And we don't have a lot of businesses that old in this town. So we're going to be talking to Matt about taking over the business and some of the things he's learned, and also some of the issues that he could teach y'all about, what y'all to look for in a proper plumbing company, and what the proper service call, things of that nature, and some of his own background. Just lots of stuff. We're going to just be shoot the breeze. He's an old time Burleson hand. He graduated 2002. Mm-hmm. All right, okay, and so. You've been around a long time. Have you lived in Burleson this whole time?
I don't like to say it that way.
Well, I've been here longer than you, but have you lived here this whole time? I mean, or did you move back?
So when my wife and I got married, we spent a couple of years a little bit closer to school, further up in town. But as soon as we could, we bought a house back down here in Burleson.
And just couldn't stay away, could you?
No, we love it here.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I don't doubt a lot of people do. I mean, we're growing so much, and we're going to talk about that as well. I mean, how your business has changed over the last few years, because I talked to several business owners and who've been around a while, and they're just amazed by all of that. Tell you the truth. Okay, now I get to do the fun thing of trying to share all this. If you've seen my show, man, you've seen how I struggle with Facebook here, trying to share everything, but I'll do the best I can here. Doom. Okay, there you go.
We all got to stay connected whether we want to or not.
Yeah, right. I think that's it. Yes, good. I'm good. Okay, so before we jump into it, let's talk about some of the other business owners in this town that sponsor this show. Okay, CrossFit Burleson, 317 Southwest Wilshire. I'm sure y'all have some extra poundage to take off for the Christmas season, because just was Thanksgiving. I know that diets go out the window, and sometimes your workout habits do too. So go check out CrossFit Burleson. You can check out their webpage at CrossFitBurleson.com. They're over behind Stone Soup Cafe, and you go talk to Lexi and Bailey, and they'll tell you about the programs, and they'll talk about the training, and then you talk about, it's a supervised workout. It's got classes, the whole thing. So check out CrossFit Burleson. Also, Shandy Stogsdill, the Stogsdill Group. If you're looking to move in and around this area, talk to Shandy, because she knows where the real estate is. The market's still moving here in Burleson, despite what you read in the Wall Street Journal or something like that. We're still moving houses here in this area, and so if you want to get in on this, you better get to somebody that knows the business, and Shandy surely does that. She's been doing this for nearly, I don't want to tell you how many years, but a long time. I don't want to out her age or anything like that. Anyway, thank you also to Otto. I was just there yesterday, and it's a great place for comfort food. When it gets cold, sometimes you like just old-fashioned chicken fried steak with gravy and taters and all that, and it's the best place to get them. Otto and I had a nice conversation. He's doing well, and he hopes y'all come in for Christmas. And then, by the way, if you're going to pie for Christmas, it's like Thanksgiving. You need to order it in advance, because if you wait to the next day before, you may or may not get what you need, because sometimes they have some extra. But if you want to make sure you get what you want, be sure to order before Christmas. It's over on the highway in Ellsbury. You know the place. It's a great place, our place. Also, Wild Cigar. I was just there yesterday as well for a little sponsor care, talking to Nathan. They have a lot going on. This Saturday, they're having like some sort of craft festival in the parking lot right outside Wild, and there'll be also some cigar vendors and things of that nature. It's a whole program on the parking lot there at the Standard. So it's from, I'm trying to remember the times, I didn't write it down, so it's, I believe, from about noon to 5. And so going by there, they're going to have some booths and vendors and things of that nature. And it's a great place also to watch all the football that's coming up, playoffs, bowl games, whatnot. Also, Tiffany Nico, the magazine is out, and Harvest House is on the cover, which is a good thing. Local Life magazine will be out this week. It goes to 30,000 homes, goes to a lot of businesses. So when I go to a retail outlet, sometimes they have several copies, and so it gets a lot of reach other than just the 30,000 homes. So thank you, Tiffany, for all you do. Also, on Thursday, I'll be talking to this young man, Cody O'Brien, at the Burleson Buzz. He's has put together a news blog. It's been up and active about 5 months now. And if you hear this on this show, hear about Burleson Buzz on the Mr. Allard's Neighborhood, to get 20% off the subscription price, which is already pretty low. So Burleson Buzz, it'll be interesting to talk to him about all the stuff he's learned about our city and our schools and whatever else. Now we'll talk to Matt. All right, now we'll get around to you. All right, now y'all been here as a family or as a family business since 1970, but it predates even that, right?
That's right. Yeah. So my grandfather Bill, for the longest time we were Bill Cobb Plumbing. Most people just call us Cobb Plumbing, and that's fine. But he brought the business down to Burleson area in about 1970. Before that, he learned the trade with his father, my great grandfather Frank Cobb, and he started plumbing in Fort Worth in about 1948.
Good grief. I mean, that's that kind of long-term continuity in a business is not common these days. And so y'all were here since 1970. And, in Cobb Plumbing, yeah, everybody knows Cobb Plumbing. It's like, it's almost a go-to. I know a couple of the plumbers. And there's some plumbers that are your competition that are pretty good.
There's some great plumbers.
Yeah. There's but they can go their own show right now, but no, but you do have some competition, and so, but most people is almost like a reflex. You have a plumbing problem, you call Cobb,
Yeah, and you know what? I don't mind offering a little bit of this time because most people know the Mitchell family, Charlie Mitchell, and his son Chase. Chase has his own plumbing company now as well. They do great work. Those are great guys, and I don't mind saying that because Charlie Mitchell is the reason that Cobb Plumbing survived its first year.
Back in 1970?
Back in 1970, when we moved to town, we missed the cutoff for the Yellow Pages, which back then,
that was it.
If you're not in Yellow Pages, you're not in business. And Charlie Mitchell threw Cobb Plumbing extra business for a little over half a year to keep them afloat before the next Yellow Pages came out.
Well, that's the kind of, I don't know, cooperation and kind of support you get in a small town.
Yeah, it's camaraderie among tradesmen, and that's great. We love that.
Yes, and and so you do, like we mentioned, you do have competition. But again, since you've been here so long, it's almost, there's certain businesses that become established in the community where everybody knows them, or it's recognizable. And Cobb Plumbing is one of them still. And
well, we're glad to hear that.
Yeah, no, I saw a couple of trucks yesterday, and I thought, this is ironic. One was at the Schlotzky's. I don't know if they were doing something for them or getting a sandwich. I don't know.
Off,
yeah. But no, and I've seen them a couple other places, around town. So your presence is still here. But I know that the business has had a lull in it because of your father's condition.
Definitely, yeah. So my dad's health was pretty bad for quite a while, and it happened relatively quickly. So I have what feels like recent memories. 5-6 years ago, he was still running a jackhammer, on a slab leak, and I mean he would do it himself. He was a hard worker, his entire career. But about 4 years ago, his health started to turn down, and it was a myriad of things. But he got to where he just couldn't do the day-to-day stuff. And so he was still running things remotely, and that was fine. And we're very blessed to have a master plumber, Greg Beard. He's our head guy. He runs all the calls. He manages the crews. Very talented tradesman. And we kind of just shifted things. We just let him take more of the day-to-day operations. But you can have the best plumbers in the world. Nobody's going to run it and focus on growing it. And, it's just different. It's running it day to day is enough. And it's not Greg's responsibility to go out there and interact with the community and focus on marketing and things like that. And so the company's always made money. We've always been able to, to pay our employees and do that. But the last few years have been pretty slow just because we haven't had our focus. We were worried about Dad.
Right.
And so when he did finally pass, it was definitely his time. We were glad to see him, kind of move beyond being in pain and suffering. Right. But it also opened up new opportunities, and we just had to decide what we wanted to do from there.
But you have a real job, so to speak. I mean, you weren't part of the plumbing business. You were in visual arts, is that right? Or marketing, rather.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're part of that. And so you had to take it over. It wasn't like you were one of the, executives of the plumbing company. You came in from outside to take over.
Definitely, yeah. The extent of my experience with the plumbing business was I spent about 2 years right at the tail end of high school as an apprentice under my dad, and he encouraged me to do that, and I was happy to do it. And it was nice to sort of personify him as a tradesman instead of just the third party perspective of seeing him leave for work every morning and seeing him come home dirty and tired. It's very different when you see the in between parts, and so that was enough time for me to realize that I didn't have any interest in being an actual licensed plumber full time. Those guys work really, really hard.
Yes, they do.
So I went a different direction. I learned multimedia, which sort of led to a career in marketing, and then that also dovetailed into a career in operations. At my the last company I was with them for 10 years, and I ended up the COO of an Inc. 5000 company, and I kind of ran the day-to-day operations there for 4 to 5 years before I moved on.
So, are you now fully devoted to Cobb Plumbing, or are you still trying to maintain your other interests and obligations?
I'm doing both for the time being.
So your days must be pretty full.
Very full. That's right. Like I said, luckily Greg handles most of the day-to-day, and it's allowed, his dedication to that has allowed me to focus on sort of the big picture stuff. Where do I want Cobb Plumbing to be in 5 years, and what strategic moves do we make between now and then to get us there?
Right. Now, so you come in from the outside, and you've been working, in industry, working in the real world, so to speak, and then you take over your father's business. And you probably had some hard decisions to make about how you're going to go from this point forward, because maybe your father ran a really good business, but was it capable of doing more than what it can be?
Right. Yeah. Well, and in my younger years, I would ask him like, hey, why? He's always run a couple of trucks full time. So I think at the biggest we had six techs of varying licensing and skill sets. But I always wondered, like, I saw other companies growing a lot bigger. And I said, it's like, don't you want to do that? And he goes, that's way too much work, man. He found a sweet spot where when he was running 2 trucks full time, that was about his capacity. And he never really wanted to go beyond that. He was very risk averse, which, is great for longevity, as as you can see.
Right.
But when you are there, there's sort of a sweet spot for every industry. And we're kind of a little bit below that right now. So, above that, it's more work, and the profit margins start to look a little bit better. Right now, when you only run 2-3 guys, somebody gets sick, that can throw your whole week off. And so when I took over, we were sort of in a danger zone where a couple of small problems could really throw us off. And so I've been working real hard to get us out of that, kind of back into that middle ground.
Yeah, trying to modernize the business, because probably as your dad was not able to, access all the multimedia that you have now because with your experience. Now you're going to be able to rebrand Cobb Plumbing and use multimedia marketing and all this, Burleson's growing so big, a lot of outside of Burleson companies are starting to make inroads into this community, Baker Brothers or whatever else,
Yes, definitely.
And so you're going to have to compete with them, not just, with, your peers, but now these office outlets, like I see you advertise on television.
Right.
And stuff like that. So how do you plan to remarket and rebrand Cobb Plumbing?
So we've been doing a lot. The first step I felt like was getting involved in the community. Burleson is growing very fast, but it still has a very small town atmosphere. And I think when people move here, that they want to get into the small town atmosphere more than they want to see Burleson become a big city. And that's true for the long-term residents and the new people moving in as well. And so community-based marketing is critical in a town like Burleson. And so the first thing I did is let's get in the chamber.
Right.
I don't know why Cobb Plumbing was not a member of the Chamber of Commerce.
Is that Jack Matson right there?
I believe it is.
Yes. Yeah. We'll be talking about Toys for Tots after the next commercial round.
Yeah. He's introduced himself a few times at different events. He's very involved in the chamber, and But that's been a great experience so far. They're great for networking. You're a member of the chamber,
member,
and
yes.
we've been to several events together. And,
Right. And I have them on once a month. Had Gabrina on for all her tenure there, and then now Melissa, her successor, and Sarah and Jessica have come on the show, and they'll be doing it once a month, and I'm really fascinated because we talk about what's going on in Burleson, and they seem to know everything, of course. And,
right? Yeah.
well, but joining the chamber is a very good move for everybody because, like you say, it's really good for networking and all this. And now, as far as other networking groups, I could sell you on one. I'm pretty fond of.
But I think we've talked about that a little bit.
My BNI friends, but as far as other types of social media, I mean, it's amazing how much social media is necessary for this kind of stuff. But what do you do?
So we had been paying a company to like manage our social media, and it was a pretty nominal fee. It wasn't it wasn't like we were getting ripped off. But if you go back, about 6 to 8 months on our Facebook page, you'll see that I started making fun of the posts that this company was doing. They were so bad. I mean, it was like the worst written AI program was creating content for our company, and it's like, I guess, is this better than nothing? I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe not. And so I just encouraged all my friends, like, hey, go on and just troll all of these terrible Facebook posts. And so we were just that got people engaged. And one of the things that people remember about my dad is he was always joking around. He was just a cut up. He loved to tell jokes and make people laugh. And I kind of, when it came time to rebrand, it was high time to drop the Bill Cobb part of the, and the Sons part. Most people already knew us as Cobb Plumbing. So I said, let's just start fresh. Let's say, what would this look like? But the voice of our brand is really my dad's voice. It's funny. And so I wanted to bring that as a way that people nobody really wants to be Facebook friends with their plumber. You know what I'm saying? Like Facebook is a social platform.
Well, but it's nice to know that you're out there on that kind of platform, because if I needed to know if I had plumbing issues and I'm new to town, that's where I'd go probably.
Right. Yeah. Facebook is where people ask for referrals.
Right.
So you have to have a page, but what you communicate on that page is just, you can do a lot of different things. And some people were like, oh, go educational, teach people. No, that's not what people use Facebook for.
Well, I can put a plug in for Tiffany Nico. She does social media work. Most people know her for Local Life.
Yeah.
But she also does what you're describing. So if you ever want to make a change or whatever, give her a call, because she's really good at it. And, and she and I swap advertising, so to speak. And I routinely, she's posting stuff from, about my show on her platforms. So she's really good at that. Also, a friend of ours, Stephen Carl Jansen, says, "Hey, Matt, you know Stephen Carl Jansen, Santa Claus?"
Yeah. So we've met a couple of times in person. Our kids they've been in the same schools off and on. I think his kids went to academy, if not still for a while.
Well, he was on last week, right? And you probably saw that. Yeah, it was a really good show. It really was. I had a lot of comments about the first part he was acting as Santa. I hope I'm not giving away secrets here, Stephen. And
he was acting.
Yeah, right. Taylor was like, "Wait, aren't you the real Santa?"
Wait, what?
Yeah. And he read the Christmas story, and then after the second round of commercials, he was Stephen, and so it was really good.
He's a great guy. He lives in my neighborhood, so we see each other on our community Facebook page.
Yeah.
He and I have we both share an affinity for home cooking, and so we've had a couple conversations.
Like this one here. Brian Wankler, is that it?
Oh, yes, that's my brother-in-law.
Oh, okay. How about
Brian.
that? Okay, so you're just a big celebrity today.
That's right.
Oh, okay, back on the deal.
We made it.
Yeah, right. Rebranding. You're right about social media and also about local media. That's I can also put in a plug for Cody at Burleson Buzz, because he's looking to put some stuff out there for, not just stories, but some ads and whatnot. But, I am the type that I like to know who's doing stuff in my home, right? And that's why we call Cobb Plumbing. That's why we have pretty much the same air conditioner guy, HVAC guy. We we go to local people to get things done and or get repairs done and things like that, because you know where they are, you know where you can find them, and they know how valuable their reputation is to them, and so they'll put in that little bit extra effort it takes to keep that good reputation. Whereas you get some big outfit, you know, you may or may not get any kind of response.
Yeah, definitely. Cody and I have spoken. The Burles and Buzz is definitely on our marketing calendar for sure. We'll be doing some sponsored spots with them for sure. So is Tiffany. You know, there's some great avenues for advertising here locally. And but I actually wanted to touch on something you said there about dealing with local businesses, because you know, when it came time to decide what we wanted to do with Cobb Plumbing, we thought about selling it, and we had a couple of offers for people that wanted to buy it. And you know, they weren't insulting offers by any means, but the truth is that the way the service industry is going is the same way a lot of other industries have gone. And that is there's a trend in local business. And I noticed this at first when I was in the dental industry. I don't know if you know this, but there are maybe 24 dentists within Burleson city limits. Okay. And only a handful of them are owned privately. The rest of them are either openly or quietly owned by corporate owners and private equity firms.
Really? Okay.
Yep. And this is not necessarily commentary on any one of them individually or even as a group, but the way a private equity firm and a management company runs a local business is a far cry from how a local company runs a local business.
Absolutely. And we talked about this on other shows, not so much about service industries, but about real estate, how they're buying up all these houses through equity funds, hedge funds, whatever else. Yep. I mean, hundreds at a time. And we're not talking about California or Vegas. We're talking about here in the Texas DFW area.
Yep.
And that's one reason why rent is so high, because they're monopolizing the market. And
when they have that amount of power, they can sit and wait. They don't have to get it rented immediately because they have investment funds.
Well, I also think the reason why you've taken over Cobb Plumbing also is because of the legacy of the family.
Definitely.
You know, because, you know, a lot of people might have just taken that offer to sell and be done with it. You know, particularly if you're not, you know, you weren't working for the company full time already. But I'm really, it's admirable that you're going to keep that going in the spirit of your family, your dad, your grandfather, great grandfather, because we don't have a lot of that kind of generational ownership and workmanship and things of that nature.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely I'm the oldest of my siblings, and you know, whether they believe it or not, you know, like I feel a weight of responsibility for our family reputation, and so yeah, the idea that some other person would, because I mean, if you buy the company, you're buying the name, and you know, if our company name was Super Dudes Plumbing, you know, I might have felt differently about it, but when you're buying the name Cobb, I mean, that means something. That means something to me, but it means something in my hometown. And, you know, I don't plan on leaving Burleson anytime soon. And I would hate to get a message, you know, from a friend in 3 or 4 years down the road and say, you know, I really got overcharged by Cobb Plumbing. And then have to tell them, well, that's not us.
Yeah, by the way, I'm just kind of a side note here. Who is Cheryl Cobb?
So Cheryl's my mom.
Okay, she just wants to be on Facebook here. So I'm going to say your request is granted, Cheryl. Okay.
Oh,
there you go. So she wants to watch and see her boy in action.
Yeah. So my mom is the owner. She inherited all of the ownership shares of the business when my dad passed, and you know, she's been a part of the business for just about as long as he has, and but she doesn't have any experience running a company, you know, and she was very overwhelmed.
Oh yeah.
She really just didn't know where to start. Yeah. And, you know, again, no decision is, you know, only one factor. There's a lot of things that play into it, but you know, I really felt strongly that Cobb Plumbing needed to be a Cobb owned and operated business.
If you had sold out, would the name go with it, or would they be somebody that would start a new name for that business?
So one of the offers, and one that we considered seriously, was my uncle Mark, my dad's brother. Okay. So he is a Cobb and so he would have kept the name Cobb for sure. And he has actually been an incredible resource. I don't know if you know this, but coming into an industry that you haven't ever worked in, that you haven't worked in 20 years, that's a steep learning curve.
Yes, it is.
And Mark has run Ace Plumbing in Fort Worth for over a decade now, and he's their what they call an RMP, Responsible Master Plumber. And so it's his license, that operates Ace Plumbing, and he has been an incredible help in helping me, bridging the gap for what I don't know. And it's what you don't know that hurts you. And
a few years from now, maybe that opportunity, if you you want to build up the company, build up the value, maybe you probably you have a buyer, and your uncle, that's a good thing to happen. But that would be kind of, in my opinion, I would keep the Cobb name because, like I say, everybody knows Cobb Plumbing is just like, it's like a business in Burleson that is so well known that that's all you need to know.
I mean, that's the primary asset is the name for sure. I mean, one of the reasons that we're able to price our services the way that we do is because we have always kept our overhead very low. So, but that also means that we don't have a ton of assets. We only have we've only got a couple of trucks. I think we technically have 3 business-owned service vans, and I think we're only making payments on one of them. We've got a handful of equipment and parts and inventory, and we run it out of my mom's house. It's run out of my mom's. We don't have a storefront or a commercial property. So as far as
do you
assets,
need one?
No, we don't, and it's always worked just fine. But as far as assets, it's pretty minimal. And so if someone did want to buy us, it would be because of our reputation.
Absolutely. And there's been a real push in the last 3 or 4 years, particularly since I started this podcast, to use local, buy local, eat local, that kind of thing, because Burleson is in competition now with bigger cities, and I always bought local, ate local, whatever, because I felt like these are the people paying my salary through taxes. Being a public school teacher, I need these businesses to survive. So we would use local, but it also again was the idea that we knew where to find you if we needed you.
Right. Yeah.
If there was something going on, with plumbing problem, we knew where to call. And we also knew that, your reputation was such that we weren't going to get some upsell or whatever else. In fact, on the other side of the commercial, I want to talk about things to look out for because we're growing, we're getting businesses that are coming into Burleson that we don't know. Now, they may be fine, great people, but there's also, my friend John, who's at Old Pro Roofing, will tell you there's also a lot of guys in a truck that you may not see again after the check clears and that kind of stuff. And so you have to deal with all of that, and that's a really good reason to stay local. So we can talk about that, and also if people are deciding that, as a young man or young woman, they want to be a plumber, it's a whole lot more than just picking up a wrench. I mean, my son did it for about 6 months for a plumbing contractor, and he had to get licensed, and it was pretty serious work, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm going to roll through these next round ads. Also talk about a couple of events coming up in our community. Southern Gym. You need to take your mom and or your wife to Southern Gym, bud. It's Christmas time's coming.
You're going to get me in trouble.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm already in trouble. As you know, my wife works there, but they got a big thing coming up on Thursday. They've got one of their vendors, one of their main vendors, is going to bring a lot of inventory, and it's going to be at very steep discounts.
Oh, okay.
It's an all-day Thursday event, and so it's going to be something to go to. And if you're looking for this type of gift for your loved one, it's going to be a good day to buy one because there's going to be some discounts going on. Also, the fact that if you want repairs done on your jewelry, there's going to be a point pretty soon, and you're not going to get it by Christmas Day. I think about it. I was talking to my wife last night about it. She says they're scheduled out right now for about a week prior. But it took Christmas, but if you wait much longer, you may not get it till after the new year. So Southern Gym over at the Standard. Also, I just mentioned John here at Old Pro Roofing, 817-734-2756. This is like your kind of company. This is a local group down in Old Town. We know where to find him. He's part of my BNI group, as is Gala. And, these are the people we're going to do with. When we had that hailstorm about 5 months ago, he came and checked out my roof, and he said, "You're fine." as opposed to trying to upsell me. And I had, during that hailstorm, right after it, I had that 2-3 guys come knocking on the door and all that. And I'm not begrudging people making a living, but I want to know who's on my roof or in my home.
Absolutely.
Or who's under the hood of my car and that kind of thing. And so there you go. Old Pro Roofing, 817-734-2756. Also, thank you to Sammy and Candy over at Camco. Sammy Campbell's at 817-778-4592, and Candy is at 817-925-2661. They've been doing this for at least, I know, 2 decades here in the Burleson area, but this is their company. They just started last month. And so they'll help you with the rates and your mortgages, and you're going to refinance and whatever else. You'll be good to go. So give them a holler. And they're still here in town. They're at the B&G building over that south building, that's 3rd floor. Also, there's you.
Hey.
There you go. And we got a couple of pictures afterwards we're going to show the vast listening audience. Also, so I'll just skip on over to that for a minute. We got holiday friends coming up with Harvest House. Okay, so Jennifer was on yesterday, and so they need gift cards. They need to have something to make sure that the kids of this community have a good Christmas. And also they're also participating with the next one group here, Toys for Tots. That's going to be a big event. And how Harvest House benefits from that is Toys for Tots usually has an age limit of like 12 years old or younger. And so if some people bring toys that really are more age appropriate for a teenager, Harvest House is going to get them and use them with their Christmas.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Well, they were on the show, Mike Perdue and Jack Matson, part of the chamber, I guess. He was on the show. They were on the show about a week ago, and it was before Thanksgiving actually. And it really was. It's a great outfit. It's going to be at the Burleson Stadium this Thursday night. So check that out. Okay. Oh, you got a little note here from Mike Gilchrist. All right.
Hey, Mike.
All right. He's giving you an endorsement. He never used any other plumber but you. Okay, so
that's great to hear.
It is. Well, it must be gratifying though to hear. I'm sure you heard a lot of things about your father when he passed, about what not just a good man he was, but reliable, integrity. You can't buy that. That kind of remembrance is priceless.
Definitely, and his funeral is literally standing room only.
Oh, yeah.
I'd never seen that before, and that was definitely a testament to his personality, but also just his reputation, both personal and professional reputation.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm just thinking, it's like, you guys can be tying back to what we wanted. You do have an opportunity to not just rebrand Cobb Plumbing because you already got a base to work from, but I think you have a really good opportunity to expand the business. Maybe you don't want to have like multiple outlets all over the DFW area, but expand it enough that you not only just make a living, but can provide for your family and all this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's the ultimate goal. Is I would like Cobb Plumbing to be my my primary focus, in the next few years. And I've always been of the opinion that I don't ever want to take money from any person or organization or group that I haven't added significant value. And so putting in sweat equity is not a problem for me because I fully anticipate that within the next 3 years, we'll have doubled in size.
I believe it too. I mean, not only because we're growing as a community, but because now that, like you mentioned, your father's illness kind of prevented him from being able to spend all his energy towards the business. Now that you're here and your mom, I'm sure she's putting a lot of time into it as well. I fully expect you to be much more of a presence in the next 2 or 3 years.
Well, we're on our way. We're on a good path for that now because we now have an official mascot.
Oh boy! Oh yeah, let's show that picture. Okay, there you go.
We haven't officially named him.
Yeah,
but we've just been referring to him as Crappy the mascot.
Crappy the
with
mascot.
A K.
Yeah. And I saw this on Facebook, and I thought, what in the world is in that toilet? And I thought it was cookies or something, but you said it's Tootsie Rolls. Yeah.
And that, just to put everyone's mind at ease, that's a brand new toilet.
Yeah.
Okay. I got it from Home Depot the day before.
Oh well, I bet your wife was just thrilled and went to see that one. I bet the kids thought, what in the world is that?
My wife definitely was not on board with it at first. She was very doubtful that was going to work. I I must have had over 100 kids ask to have their photo with me at the Boo Bash.
This is the Boo Bash. Okay, I was going to ask you, what event was this? Okay.
Which was another great event put on, by our community. They just they give businesses so many opportunities to interact with the community, and I love it.
Well, that's one change I think in the last 20 years. Since you graduated, and I've been here longer than that. We didn't have a concerted effort as much focusing on local businesses because, in effect, when we were a smaller town, we know who the plumber was. We knew who the air conditioning guy was. And,
it was inherent. It was in the fabric of the community.
But now that we're much bigger, we need to focus on it. And I think we've done a really good job. Alex Phillips does a great job over at the city. And then we have other events. Chamber of Commerce does a great job. We have, I think, a real momentum, focusing on smaller businesses, local restaurants, things of that nature. Also, you got another one. You're just filling up the whole board here. ENC Wilden, is that what it says?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she has a recommendation about how you saved her a lot of money.
Yeah. Okay. That's great to hear. Foundation problems in Texas. That's a big business. For us.
It is, and I worry about it. But so far, our, God willing, our house will continue. Our house is about 30 years old, and you'd think by now we'd have foundation problems, but we don't yet. But you never know. But that kind of brings up another thing about service calls and things of that nature. She said that in Miss Wilden's testimonial here says that another company wanted to charge us to dig into the foundation, which was an unnecessary repair. That's another reason why people call Cobb or they call other service people in this community because they know they won't be upsold. That's my whole point with Old Pro Roofing. You won't be upsold.
Yeah. So there's the upselling from service companies it's a tough thing to address because when I would talk to my dad about growth, he was always I think he went to a seminar one time about, where these business experts were trying to, show like, we're going to show you how to double your profits. And he goes, son, I can tell you it's not a hard conversation. Mm-hmm. You don't double your profits unless you pass that expense to your customer, period. And that's the only trick is just charge more. And I don't want our employees to struggle to pay their bills. I want to pay our people well. Mm-hmm. The best paid plumbers work on a commission structure.
Right.
And I don't want to get too far into that because there's plenty of honest plumbers who are paid on commission.
Right.
And if somebody feels a job is worth a certain amount, they agree to pay it. I mean, good for them. It just never felt right for the way we do business.
Well, you describe for us a Cobb service call.
So we do have some jobs that we look at more as like a flat rate. Like if we install a water heater, we know what our hard costs are on a water heater. We know about how long it takes. And so we can give you a pretty much guaranteed price right out the door. If it's, it changes a little bit, if it's not up to code or if it's in the attic or something like that, then it might change. But for the most part, we know exactly what our hard costs are on that. And so we can give an upfront price. Most of our service work is just hourly. We charge $179 an hour. That's not the cheapest price in town, but we're definitely on the low side.
Well, not only that, but you're not going to spend 20 minutes on the phone for that hour. You know what I'm saying? Right. Sometimes you get a guy working on the hour and they're texting or whatever. I mean, they come in and you're going to get it done as quickly as and appropriately as possible.
Yeah. And it's just there's something in human nature where, when you get accustomed to making a certain amount of money as a tradesman and, jobs slow down, then you got to bid them higher. And, it's like I said, there's plenty of honest plumbers out there that work on commission. I couldn't see a path forward where I felt good about charging our customers based on what we think they could pay.
So they come in, one of your guys comes in, let's say, it's a leak somewhere in the kitchen.
Well, first of all, free estimates.
Free estimates, right.
On-site estimates.
That's good.
If somebody wants to charge you for an estimate, you need to make another phone call. Mm-hmm. And a lot of guys have to charge for their time. That's why we work local. If we were bidding jobs in North Fort Worth or over in Dallas, we'd have to charge for an estimate too. That's why we work in our community. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we want to explain what the problem is, and we want to give you options. Sometimes it makes more sense to replace something. Sometimes, we had this conversation in my house. I have repaired our kitchen sink faucet 3 times in the last 12 months. I don't really like the faucet anyway.
Right.
So at this point, we're not going to repair it again. Over Thanksgiving break, I'm doing dishes and it started squirting water in my eye. So,
It's very ironic if you think about it.
the plumbing problems at the plumber's house.
Yes.
And so I know that as a customer, if somebody came into my home, I would want them to ask me questions instead of just give me information. I would want to say, how much do you like this faucet? I'm not really that attached to it. Would you like to upgrade? Yeah. Well, now's a good time to do that.
Well, do you have like an inventory of faucets and hot water heaters, or do you get them like from a wholesaler or something like that?
We have a supply house. You know, back in the day, I don't know if you remember Corona South Plumbing Supply.
I do, actually.
They were right off 35, just past Lynn Smith Chevrolet, which I guess is not even Lynn Smith anymore.
No, they just sold out from what I understand. Yeah.
So now I'm aging myself. But,
but no, I do remember that for some reason.
Yeah. So I used to, we could walk into Corona Supply Plumbing, the Corona Supply House, and all the guys I mentioned earlier, the Mitchells and the Winnets, and we were all there, and they'd shoot the breeze and got up and joke around, and it was everybody was in competition, but it was really friendly competition. And and that's one of the things that one of my better memories of my time spent, work with my dad is just that community of tradesmen. But we don't have a local supply house anymore. There's Winnelson up on 35 is where we get most of our parts. But nowadays it's so easy to just go online and pick what you want and order it from Amazon. And so that's kind of a mixed bag too. So there's a lot of that you can buy a brand name faucet on Amazon. You can also buy a brand nobody's ever heard of, and they all work okay. The question is, when it stops working, like, can we fix it? And so, you can buy a $35 faucet on Amazon, and that's not a problem. We don't mind installing those. Our recommendation is usually pick up the faucet you want and pick a Delta or a Moen.
And, well, and I'm still old school. If I needed a faucet, I'd go to, some local Lowe's, Home Depot, something like that, because, the younger generation, like my kids, they're all online and they do a lot of stuff with Amazon and stuff like that. And even my wife does more Amazon stuff than I do, or other types of platforms. But I'm just old school.
Amazon gets way too much of my paycheck, way more than I want to admit.
Yeah, I heard that. Well, but that's, as far as the service call, kind of going back to that is, to me, when a guy walks in and all of a sudden they go, "Oh my God," and this is the worst I've ever seen. And I'm thinking, get out of here. I don't, so y'all don't do that. And I appreciate that. You've probably seen it all before. And most of it's probably fairly routine.
Yeah, one of the governing principles of our business is we want every job is an opportunity to earn a lifelong customer, and you don't get that by overcharging people or upselling people. No. Now, sometimes people want to be upsold. They go, "Hey, you sure I don't need a new toilet?" And you kind of want to, are you asking me if I need to tell you need a new toilet? It happens.
Well, I guess, but not in our house. I'm pretty cheap. My wife will tell you. But, but that's another thing as well. The people that come in our home from Cobb Plumbing are licensed professionals. You checked them out. You probably have worked with them for years, right?
Yeah. Most of the people that we have we had to make an employment change here recently. And it was for the exact reason you're talking about. If something happens and I get to where I don't trust somebody to be around my family, I'm not going to send them into a customer's home, period. End of story.
Right.
And so we're back to square because we that's exactly what I went out and looked for. And the guys we have with us now, I would trust them around anybody.
Right. And it's not just background checks and, but we talk about the licensing and all this other business. But I tell you, it's, for a lot of people, it's kind of that an anxiety type moment when you have a stranger come into your house and you may end up writing a check to them or something like that. So I'm glad to hear that the Cobb standards haven't changed. I didn't expect them to, frankly. I didn't, but I'm glad to hear it anyway. But I knew from y'all's reputation and from what I've seen of you on various other areas, I knew that the standards for what you expect of your employees were going to remain the highest.
Absolutely. Yeah. We trust our crews completely.
Yeah, that's a good thing. But, we were talking about something. Yeah, it brought to me some questions here as far as like some trends here. Some of these I'm not really familiar. You say a lot of failing pressure valves. What's going on with that?
Oh, man. Okay. So, and it's not as much an issue in older homes. But for example, we live in West Bend. And the developer there put what's called a PRV, pressure reduction valve, at the inlet of the main water line coming into every house, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It's there to regulate how much water pressure you have in the house, and that's great until it fails, and then suddenly your water pressure drops off drastically. And so we have gotten, I mean, just in my neighborhood, we've done probably a half dozen this year. And so, and you got to dig them out. You got to find them, dig them up, and replace them. But it's just one of those things where, like the intention is good and it works, for what it does, it's great until it fails.
Yeah.
But I don't remember ever having this many PRV replacements, because a lot of the homes in Burleson have been older, all of the new construction that started 10, 15 years ago is now aging to the point where it needs work.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I never had that problem in our house. Water pressure.
You probably don't have one.
All right. It is what it is. I don't really, expect much more from it than that. When you talk about water softeners here.
Yeah. So that's, the new thing is whole home systems. Water softeners have been around for a long time. Water filters have been around for a long time. Now people are wanting to do them at the main water line and have it work for their whole house. So you got to scale it up, and pipe it in a very particular way. But yeah, then these things range in price from $1,000 to $5,000. But it's one of those things where people are really starting to look at the quality of their water and what's in it.
Well, we get Bethesda, and I don't, as you can see, I drink out of this kind of water, out of bottled water. It's okay. But they treat us fine, but it just, tap water is not my favorite.
I would never tell somebody that they need an expensive water filtration system. I don't mind drinking out of the tap. But I know I'm willing to admit that I'm likely in the minority there.
Yeah, pretty much. But also, you said TikTok shower. What is that?
On the topic of being able to buy fixtures
TikTok shower heads,
something went viral about a year ago, and it was this shower head that somebody made, and I don't even know who made it. I don't know the manufacturer. Nobody ever heard of, but hundreds of thousands of people were buying these shower heads off of a viral TikTok ad.
Was it a real shower
It's
head?
an actual shower head.
So we're not talking about some scam or whatever.
No, they were actually getting products and asking plumbers to install them. But that just goes back to, will it work? Probably.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be any good?
I'm not going to go to TikTok for anything, much less I'm going to put it in my home.
Brad, come on, buy your next water heater off TikTok.
No, TikTok is some plot from the Chinese. I'm not going to. No, I'm not into that. Kind of like I said, I'll go to the store. In fact, I hardly buy books from Amazon. I'll still go to the bookstore. That's how old-fashioned I am. Taylor looks at me sometimes like I'm from the 19th century or whatever, but that's all right.
You were from the 18th, right?
18th century, because he got all this technical stuff going on. I'm like, how do you turn this on? You mentioned also something about changes in insurance. I'm interested in that.
Yes. So when I was working with my dad, one of our more common project calls was a slab leak. Like what Miss Wilden was referencing there at her house. The standard protocol was you'd contact your insurance company, make a bid, or pass our bid along. We'd saw cut or jackhammer out, after we located where the leak was, replace the pipe, repair it, and then cover it back up. Most homeowners insurance policies in the state of Texas now no longer cover slab leaks. And that has been a massive shift in just the business culture and the business flow of how we address these problems, because you're talking thousands and thousands of dollars worth of work.
Right.
And for a while, people thought they would get around it by hiring tunnel crews to dig under the house and replace it. And sometimes that's what we have to do still. But there's been a real onus on plumbing companies to find workarounds or cheaper, more budget friendly solutions, because the insurance isn't there to pick up the big chunk of the bill.
How would one know one has a slab leak?
The most common thing is you're either going to find some standing water where there shouldn't be, or you're going to see some weeping around the exterior foundation of the house, or some wet spot, right up against the house. And the way you confirm it is you just make sure that nothing in the house has any water running, and you just go out to your meter and look. And it's usually a slow turn, but most water meters should have. It's around here. It's normally a little like a red triangle. You can just see it rotating really, really slowly. If it's rotating fast, you got a bigger problem.
I haven't had that problem, thank God.
Luckily,
and I guess whoever put our slab in, I remember this young man's name. His name was Keith Miller. They put in the slab, and we have never had a real problem, thank God, because I knew they'd be expensive, but I did not know that insurance companies are starting to decline covering that.
Yep, it's just that's the way things are going, and these companies want to cover less and less. And I don't remember last time they called me and said, "Hey, we're going to lower your premium."
Yeah,
that's just the state of affairs.
Back to my B&I group, we had an insurance agent. Well, we still do, and she was telling us these things are coming. Homeowners insurance is getting more expensive in Texas, and some companies aren't even writing homeowners insurance anymore. And even her company, it was Texas Farm Bureau, they were limiting to whom they were going to be covering because the exposure they were getting from all this. So we got some real problems coming in the insurance industry and with our homes and things of that nature. So I'm not looking forward to that. But that's off the topic anyway.
I don't want to get into insurance.
You want to? I'd like to see that video clip you sent us. This is your father?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so probably about, it may have been 8 years ago. I was itching to do some video work, just just to get the camera back out, because it had been a while since I'd done some. And my dad said, "Well, I could use a new commercial." So we scripted something out and did a little 1 minute ad for him.
Well, Taylor does commercials. Just saying.
just saying.
Just saying. Anyway, let's Taylor, if you let it roll, please.
Hi, my name is Mike Cobb. I'm the owner and operator of Bill Cobb & Sons Plumbing. If you're new to town, let me just start by saying, welcome to Burleson. Our little town has grown quite a bit over the years, but it still has the same old-fashioned values it's always had. And it's those values that are the foundation of Cobb Plumbing. My father and my grandfather built their reputation on quality work at fair prices. And 3 generations later, we still take that same approach with every one of our valued customers. For the last 43 years, we've done our best to provide outstanding service to the people of Burleson, Joshua, and Crowley. And maybe that's why they just named Cobb Plumbing the best plumbers in Johnson County for the 3rd time. So the next time you need a friendly and honest plumber, we hope you will think of Cobb Plumbing. Give us a chance to earn your trust and do the kind of work that will make you our next lifelong customer. Visit our website, call the office, or just say hey next time you see us around. We'd love to meet you, and we'd really like to be your plumber.
Who's the young lady in the video?
So that was a lady we were going to church with at the time. Her name's Emil.
I would just, it just is, she had that look on her face, looking in the leaky faucet, like, what now? But then Mike solves the problem, and she's happy, and he shakes his hand.
Problem solution. Solution.
That's a pretty nice little commercial. It really is, and we're getting close here on time. So tell us about the future you see for Cobb Plumbing.
Well, like I said, we have a lot of things that that we want to focus on big picture. I think I may have mentioned at the beginning, but I think I'd like to see us probably go from 2 full-time trucks to 4 or more full-time trucks, and we're even considering the slowest time for plumbers is usually around summertime.
Really?
Don't know why. It's just it's one of the industry trends.
Was it because of maybe the cold weather's causing problems with the pipes or whatnot?
I honestly, I think people are just busy. I think they're out enjoying their summertime, and their plumbing problems just kind of fall by the wayside. So unless it's an emergency, they just kind of let stuff go for a while. But in reality, there's some other things that we can do to sort of keep ourselves busy. And one of them is we're looking at implementing sort of a new, I don't want to call it a subscription, but sort of like a service plan option.
Right.
For X amount of dollars a month, some nominal fee. You are a preferred customer, and included in that was we do checkups on your system and routine maintenance. Probably the most important routine maintenance that people don't do is flushing their water heaters.
You got me on that one. I didn't even know that was a thing.
So it's becoming more important now because water heaters just don't last as long. They're not being made, like everything else. They're being made more consumable. And when I was,
you mean cheaper is what you mean?
That's what I mean. Yeah. And there's a million debates among plumbers about which water heater is the best. Fact of the matter is, used to 20 years on a water heater was not uncommon at all. Some of them could go 25 and more. Now, if you get 10, you're doing good. And a lot of them fail after 5. So for us, when we're looking to put a water heater in, we're looking more is this manufacturer good to work with on a warranty? Will they let us put a new one in and then pay the customer back? So that we can get people their hot water heater back on, have their hot water back on. But that's why it's so important to flush them now. We have a lot of hard water in this area, and sediment builds up in the bottom, and it eats there's a tube, an anodized rod inside of a hot water heater that collects the minerals and keeps them off the side of the tank. And if you keep them flushed well, it reduces the wear and tear on eating into that metal and causing a leak.
Is that something that y'all could take care of in a service call?
Yeah, definitely. And it's part of what we would offer, as a free service for people that, that use these maintenance plans. Probably the thing I'm most excited about is we had it in this in the commercial there. You saw my great grandfather's 1950 Chevy pickup.
I did.
We still own that truck.
Oh, nice.
He bought that truck brand new in 1950, and it is still in my mom's garage right now. It doesn't look that nice. It's seen better days.
Well, I have a dad that's really into old vehicles, and so I noticed that.
Yeah, it's
trained my eye for that kind of thing, I believe.
I think it's a rare thing to have a 4th generation truck that has been in the family since it's new. Same thing as a business, and. As soon as we can justify the expense, that's the 4th vehicle that's owned by the company. That's a Cobb Plumbing truck.
Okay,
it's a service truck.
But see, if you get it, fancied up a lot of it, you put it in the 4th of July
that's
parade.
The goal.
Yeah,
that's the goal. We want people around town to see it.
Yeah, or farmers market. You can just drive it, park it, and people will see it. You betcha, because it's amazing to me how old cars attract people's attention. Like Lisa Schwartz does a City on the Hill, and this is back in May, and they had all these vendors and all this other stuff going on, some music, but everybody I knew was, look at those cars. It's, about 20 or 30, these old vehicles, Thunderbirds and Mustangs and whatever. And, that really does get one's eye.
That's because they're cool, man.
They are.
Classic cars are great. I love cars.
Yeah. So, well, it's an expensive hobby, though. So
it is. That's why I'm hoping the business can pick up most of that tab.
Okay. Well, you got the last word, so tell us what you want us to know in the last couple minutes here.
Man, I don't know what else to say other than just I think, like I said at the beginning, there's no shortage of good quality plumbers in Burleson. And every time somebody on Facebook asks for a recommendation, they get 12. There's plenty of guys that can come and fix your plumbing. Our goal is lifelong customers, and we try to treat every job as a challenge for us to do that. And in order to do that, it takes a lot. There's a lot that goes into a lifelong customer. You have to treat them right. You have to talk to them nice. You got to make them laugh. You got to, I mean, that's just part of what Cobb Plumbing wants to do. That's our goal. And if you don't love your plumber, give us a shot. We would love the opportunity to earn business. and we're happy. We're not here to take food out of anybody's mouth or or,
There's enough plumbing work to go around, believe me.
absolutely.
As we
And
grow.
there's only going to get more.
Right.
So
Well, I learned a lot. Actually, I did. That's why I like these kind of shows. I talk to people that do things that I don't, and I have no skills with hands at all. No, I learned a lot, and I think people that will listen to this podcast on Apple or Spotify or see the YouTube and Facebook today, they're going to learn some things as well that they didn't really consider. Particularly, that you got my red flag flying about that hot water heater.
yeah, get it flushed, man.
And so I just think that these kind of shows really do a good service, and I hope it does you some good. Friends out there and the vast listening audience, share this with friends. Let people know that Cobb Plumbing is going to be around, God willing, another 20, 30 years. Who knows?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Not tomorrow, dadgummit. Thursday, Cody O'Brien will be on, and we'll talk about Burleson Buzz, and he'll tell you other stuff's going on. Taylor, thank you for your nimbleness on the videos, as always, and I'll see y'all Thursday.